Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by Christy Freddo. She is the owner of Best Life Mindset, and she is also a mindset coach. Christy, thank you so much for being on our Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so happy you're here.
So glad to be here. Thank you.
So, Christy, your story is incredibly powerful. Can you maybe share the moment when you realized you needed to leave your corporate job and the steps you took to make such a significant life change?
Sure.
Jumping right in.
Yeah, that's great. So with my corporate job, it was something that was probably 2 years overdue by the time I actually got around to leaving. I wish that I had just pulled that trigger sooner. Um, I literally I let it go so long, too long that I literally woke up in the middle of the night, sat bolt upright, and screamed out, "Help me, God!" I was so miserable.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because from that moment on, everything started to fall in place to be able to sort of get out of there in a way that made sense.
Yeah.
And then everything sort of fell into place within like a week.
Holy moly, that's amazing. Now, part of this journey was that you were also in an abusive relationship, and that was also a monumental step. How did you find the courage to kind of move from that? And what advice do you have for maybe someone else that could be in a similar situation?
So I had been in this very toxic, abusive relationship for over a decade. It was a decade old marriage. And I literally had a wake up call one night where I was completely asleep the middle of the night, 4 a.m., and was awoken by the full weight of my then husband on top of me, hitting me for I have no idea what reason, even not that there's any good reason for that. And my kiddo, who was 4 or 5 at the time's in the next room, and I realized like this has really gone out of control. Like he had thrown me out of cars before. He had done all kinds of other things. But I was living this life of pretending I had this great job and that I
Yeah.
loved because it was a very high level international director level job. I had this marriage that everybody thought he was so fun and so charming. And I didn't want people to know the truth. And
Right.
so that's really part of why I didn't do anything about it. And that night, I remember as I was reaching on my nightstand for the phone, for my cell phone, he, knocked it out of the way. So I never got it. And he said, "Oh, what are you going to do? You're going to call the police? You're going to call the police and have, our daughter's dad hauled off in front of her? Is that the kind of horrible person you are?" Yeah, that is the kind of horrible person you are. And it just turned into this whole thing. And I was like really terrified that if she walked in, because she heard all of this,
Yes.
I didn't know what would happen. And so the next day I was like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I am done with this.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I figured out how to get out of that in a good way. And that was just a few months after I had just left the corporate job.
So, really, everything, and it's interesting when you were praying to God, this is something that I would liken to like the dark night of the soul of when you're really like when you're at the lowest of your low and then you're searching for what's the purpose, what's the meaning, what am I here for? And is this all that life is truly cracked up to be? And I commend you so much for really just God open the way for me. And then you
Yes.
also trusted it sounds like intuitive guidance too, to be like, okay, enough. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. You get to a point where you don't care what anyone thinks anymore because there are bigger issues like being miserable or having your kiddo be in danger.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. You're lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's very scary. Like, I mean, I couldn't imagine the trauma and the fear of being physically woken up by an assault at 4 a.m. and then being gaslit to think that you're the problem when he's abusing you. Like, I'm sorry. That's perplexing to me every
And if
moment.
you asked him today, he would tell you I was the abusive one. He would still say that. And he abused my daughter also, and she tried to confront him, which was a terrible idea a few years ago
Yeah.
over the phone. And without my permission, I would not have let her do that. And he was like, "You're crazy. You're crazy. It's your mom. It's your mom is crazy. She's put that in your head." Like, So he has gaslit her too. So he's just
Wow. He's an
special.
interesting person. He's a he's part of the journey. He's part of the journey. And also for you and your daughter, and I mean, because what you do is mindset work, which is very powerful work. And a part of it is establishing boundaries. And I would imagine that now you and your daughter both know I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not going to put up with this. Like this is not reality. And I'm choosing to have a good life.
Absolutely. And that was 12 years ago. So it's a lot has transpired since then. And that's really where I learned everything that I teach
Yeah.
now is overcoming all of those things, the
Yeah.
recovery of that and the rebuilding of my life.
So another thing that you also struggled with was that you had addictions. Can you maybe talk about your journey to sobriety and how it influenced your path to personal and spiritual growth?
So also in the 6-month time frame from the time that I decided to leave my job
You had so
and
much
the
going on.
husband, it was kind of crazy, right? During that same time frame, my uncle died from end stage alcoholism, and we had the funeral, and his daughters, who were maybe in their late 20s at that time, were there just sobbing, and I've never seen grief like that. And all I could think was, what if I'm not really just a heavy drinker and the life of the party? What if I'm also an alcoholic? Because there's obviously a genetic component here. And I think
Yes.
it's time to admit that I'm an alcoholic and do something about this. So, right after that, I just decided I had to give it up, and I checked myself into it. Well, not really checked myself into because it was an outpatient intensive program, and went through that and did a bunch of other things to ensure that that time it stuck. And
Yeah.
so in that 6-month time frame, I left the job, left the husband, and quit drinking.
That is a lot in a short amount of time. Like to pull like you basically are like, I envision you as like the phoenix rising from the ashes, like choosing that I'm good and I'm not tolerating any of this anymore. And then having enough insight to say, okay, this job is not resonating with me anymore. This relationship is not resonating with me anymore. And also to look within to say, okay, I know I may have issues down the line with my sobriety. How do you overcome all of that stuff? That's a lot in a little time.
That was a lot in a little bit of time, and I slowly discovered different strategies. I discovered yoga, I discovered meditation, I discovered all of these coping strategies, replacement activities, ways to handle everything that are all really mindset and mindfulness activities. And that all just really changed my life. And from there, I was able to completely rebuild. And less than 2 years from when I started to make the first change,
Yeah.
I was remarried to an amazing person, and we blended a family, and I had a profitable business, a spa in Dallas, and got to do all of it while being sober, and have been sober for the last 12 years and enjoying all of these things, my business and my husband and my new family. And I mean, I do attribute all that to mindset and mindfulness.
Wow. I mean, I recently I love doing mindset work. I'm fascinated by mindset work. I love any type of training when it comes to mindset. And I recently did this one and she said it's 80% mindset and it's 20% action. And I was like, wow, that's such a good point. Is that something that resonates with you?
100%. I would say it's even more, maybe like 90%
I love
mindset
that.
and 10% action.
It's so interesting. So you transitioned obviously from a high paying corporate job to starting your own business. That's a dream for a lot of people. Maybe what are some of the challenges that you faced during this transition and how did you overcome maybe some of those mindset challenges that you had with going from this very lucrative corporate job to having your own business can be very unsteady feeling.
Yeah, it was definitely a scary transition and something that took a lot of courage. But what happened was along the way, I realized that the biggest problem with my corporate job, there was a toxic environment, yes, but
Mhm.
also I was out of alignment with what was going on there, with
Right.
leadership, with traveling all the time internationally and not seeing my kiddo,
Oh
with,
my gosh.
just like the whole situation was like, no matter how much money I had, no matter how many, like how great the benefits were, it was not worth any of that. And so I was
Yeah.
really out of alignment. And it took me a while to realize that was the biggest problem.
Mm.
So along the way, I kept getting distracted by, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur years before I left that job. I knew that was ultimately where I wanted to go with it, but it is terrifying.
Yeah.
And when I bought my business, I was a single mom getting no child support. So that was super terrifying and put all of my savings into it. But along the way, I had all of these, the universe talking to me. I would get distracted by shiny objects. I would have headhunters call me and be like, there's this great job in New York City. And I would fly to New York City and interview for the job. And then I would get back and like, by the time I landed, I would have a call from the headhunter saying, you're not going to believe this. Cause I was a finalist in the rounds for this, this job, this great job. And it'd be like, they're going to sell the company. They just decided today.
How
And you'd
you
be
had
like,
all these universal like signs.
yes,
Hello, hello.
yes. It was
Tell the
like
company. What the heck?
the universe was saying that's not for you because you're going to be out of alignment again. You're going to
Yeah.
travel. You're not going to see your kid. Like it's not going to be right.
Yeah.
And then I had this other situation where a different headhunter called me and said, I have this opportunity with the premier magazine in Dallas, and they want to start a television division of their magazine and they want you to head it up. And I was like, that's not even my background. Like, this is crazy. Went through all the interviews, got an offer, had a start date of January 2nd, was like, okay, this is awesome. And got a call on Christmas Eve day from the owner who said, due to a very long story, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I think you're like the greatest person ever. Like, I hate this. I have to rescind the offer because of this whole long story. And I was like, okay, awesome. I just picked up a new Lexus like 30 minutes ago. So that's really great news. And from that realized like this is the universe saying you need
Yeah.
to be an entrepreneur. This is what you want to do. So
Right.
I am on January 2nd, instead of going to that new job, I met with a business broker. And by March 1st of that year, I was in my spa.
So amazing. And also amazing for you for not like throwing in the towel. Like having these amazing opportunities. I mean, honestly, you probably had moments where like, come on. But your mindset sounds like it really also helped propel you forward, and having, a positive mindset was probably very transformational for you. Cause I know I would have been like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me again?
Again, right? And that's what, but it was great because again, turned into I need to listen to the universe
Yeah.
because these kinds of crazy things don't happen
No, not
unless
two
there's a
times in a
reason.
row. Like, come on. Like, that's wow. I'm having you've had quite a life, Christy. Like, you've
Well,
had a
and then that was like great because it was like face the fear and do it anyway. Like, no matter how
right.
scared you are to invest all of your money and have something that's not steady in terms of your own business, it's in your own hands at least. And
It's
don't
so
you trust your
true.
own hands more than the hands of all these other people who, these things keep happening. And so that gave me the courage to say, okay, I'm just going to do this. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So, with your business, Best Life Mindset, you have a coaching program that is Create Your Best Life. This promises a very transformational journey. What sets your program apart from maybe other life coaching services?
Well, I have the experience behind me of all of these things that have happened and all of the strategies that I use, while they may not be different than strategies that other mindset coaches use.
Mhm.
I came across all of them in real time in real life as I was overcoming these things and rebuilding into this beautiful life that I've now had for these last years. And I think that's sort of a different situation because I really broke down my entire life and rebuilt my whole life in the span of like 2 years. And so
And
that's something I can help people do now.
I love that. And you also have a reinvention roadmap. That is a unique aspect of your program. Can you maybe share how blah, 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 blah. Let me learn how to talk English, Christy. I'm just so excited about your roadmap because I love roadmaps. Can you maybe explain how this personalized approach enhances the transformation experience of your clients?
Yeah, so the roadmap really goes through and has you really think about what your values are and what
Yeah.
things matter and where you're in alignment in your life now and where you're not in alignment. And then really start to think about what areas you need to make changes in, what those changes might look like. It asks questions like, what did you love to do as a kid? What do people tell you you're good at? those kinds of things to help you sort of reinvent into your next phase, into your
Yeah.
act 2 or 3 or 4.
I think that's so phenomenal. Can you maybe share a success story of somebody that's gone through your coaching program that you might be willing to share with us?
Sure. So, I have different people who it's so funny because, people start out with one thing they think they want to do. So I really focus on change or starting something new.
I love that.
So, sometimes you have somebody who starts out with, I'm going to make this beautiful journal based on this prayer and it's this whole system and I'm going to publish it. And, you're working with them on that and you're going along. And then they're like, something about this isn't coming together. And, it's still something I want to do, but I feel like there's something else out there, something hiding in plain sight. And then you are like, okay, let's think about this again. What are you good at? What do people tell you you're good at? What do what do people need? What will people pay you for? How does that all come together? And then all of a sudden, it's like they start really thinking about that and getting in alignment. And then you do the next call with them, and they're like, I actually am going to do retreats because I love to do retreats and I
I love
love to
that.
travel and I love to go on them. And I'm going to do these things. And then it's like, then you start working on that, and now they're doing retreats. So it's an interesting process where people start is almost always never where they finish.
I will have to tell you that as a spiritual entrepreneur, how my life is, because I've been on, I mean, obviously, same with you. I've been on this path a long time. And where I'm at now and where I thought I was going to be is vastly different. And I sit there and I'm like, wait, did I make a wrong turn? But then my mindset is like, no, this is the life that I'm meant to lead. Like, and God will show me the way. The universe will give me the signs and I follow divine direction. And you know what I mean? And I love the fact that you're with your clients able to navigate the changes of our desires because it's like you may not be meant to do a beautiful journal, which sounds really cool, but I love the idea of retreats. Like that just sounds, I love the fact that you're so flexible and like, okay, well, let's make this work. What are you good at?
Well, and you have to find what lights you up, right? And
Yeah.
you have to listen to the universe, like you said, right? You have to listen to it. You have to look at the cues, and then you have to just keep moving forward, and the universe will realign around you when you're following its direction.
Yeah. So, how have you helped your clients to listen to what the universe or divine or, their guides are kind of how do you help them to kind of hone into those messages?
Well, I think you just have to ask, like, every week it's like, well, what happened with that? And if they're with whatever the homework was from the week before,
Right.
and if it's not easy, if it's not happening with ease, if it's not easy and it's not fun, you're on the wrong path, probably.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not all coming together, something's wrong. So let's stop and reassess.
Well, I mean, you're the perfect example. And I love the fact that you're coaching, but you've also been through this because a lot of people that maybe put on a life coaching hat haven't gone through these traumatic experiences. So it's hard to empathize with your client, but you went through it. And then you really listened to the universe, like you said, okay, this lit me up inside. But you had to go through some negativity, to get through it. But now how much your life has shifted, it's so inspirational. I bet a lot of your clients are like, wow, I love your story. I love that you've been there and you've gone through this and you can empathize with them. Do you get that feedback? She
Oh,
said,
for
all the
sure.
time, every day, Rachel.
No, but for sure. I mean, because it is so relatable,
Right.
like no matter what people have gone through and no matter where they are today, it's like there's so much hope and there's this whole life waiting for you on the other side of
Yeah.
it. And we're going to find it. And we may not know what it is today, but we're going to find it.
And I love the fact that you said face your fear, but do it anyway. Like it's okay. Like I'll help you with this path. We're gonna face the fear, but we're gonna do it anyway. Like because then it gets the glory. I think do you find that not necessarily with your coaching clients because they probably have this breakthrough, but have you found with some people like you can see their greatness on the other side, but they get stuck in fear?
With everyone. You can see their greatness on the other side, and almost everyone is stuck in fear, right? Like that's just the normal condition of the human spirit. And that's why we have things like meditation and affirmations and belief in what
Yeah.
we can do and what the universe is directing us to do.
So you brought up a really amazing point. So meditation and affirmations play a crucial role in personal transformation. How do you customize these for each individual, and what changes do you often see in participants as a result?
So with my clients, I do a personalized meditation based on usually just our first session of we talk about limiting beliefs and we talk
Yeah.
about where they're stuck and we figure out what their fears are. And like that first session is the most important session. It's the best session. I love a first session
I love
because you get to
that.
find out so much about the client. You get to dig in and you get to say, tell me more. And you get to say, what's behind that? And what are you really saying? And is procrastination really fear? And really get into those things, and then from there I'm able to take those things to make a meditation that talks about what their goals are, and it's a meditation for manifestation in a lot of cases of like now you see yourself doing these retreats, for example. You see yourself with these people who are having transformations, and at the end they're thanking you, and how does that feel? And are you hugging them? And what are they saying to you? And really try to imagine that, so that they can get to that place that they're imagining that success and feeling it. And also where we can talk about, in affirmations, having affirmations that are opposite of what those limiting beliefs are to affirm where they are and where they're going.
I find it amazing that you offer such a personalized approach to your coaching. Like you're active listening, you love the first session with them, and you're building out their it's a very tailored plan to set them up for success so that way they can truly have the dream life that they so desire. I love that. It's not like a cookie cutter, like, okay, just here's module one, here's module two. It sounds very like tailored and personalized for each of one of your clients.
Yes, no one's first session, second session, third session is the same. It's all completely customized.
I love that. And if anyone is interested, before I ask you the last question, if anyone is interested in learning more about your Create Your Best Life coaching program, learning more about you, where is the best place for them to go to?
Bestlifemindset.com, and you can get the free reinvention roadmap there. And then I know you're going to put the link to my ebook in there for the free ebook.
Which is a very lovely gift. Thank you so much for offering that. I think that's amazing. So, looking back on your journey and where you are today, what is the single most important piece of advice you would give to someone seeking to transform their life and to create their best life?
Oh, there are so many things that I want to say. I'm like, what is one thing?
Give us a couple.
You
We're
know,
okay. We
I
love
think that I
tips.
think I think that the most important thing is figuring out if you are in alignment
Mm.
with yourself, with the divine, with whatever before where you are now and where you're out of alignment so that you can start to make changes and move forward. And then once you start moving forward, I think that the biggest thing is like, it's sort of like my slogan, like Nike, just do it. I'm like, just move forward. If you move forward, the universe will align around you. It will totally take care of it, and listen to the universe and just keep moving forward. If you move forward, great things will happen. Like you're not going to go wrong moving forward, experimenting, having beautiful experiences, not being focused on what the outcome will be, sort of playing with it until you figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, and then just keep moving forward. And that's how you figure out where you want to be.
I think that's a beautiful piece of advice. We're all just going to keep moving forward. Christy, thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. This truly was amazing. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.